today, before we get started, I want to say thanks to the Tech Inclusion team. Thanks to all of you in the audience for making time. It's a real honor to be a part of the speakers, this lineup, this event. And before we get started, some of the things we talk about today, or I talk about, or answer questions of, there may be things that be triggering. So if there are, please reach out for help or resources, because I love you, I love everyone, and I want us all to get the help that we need. So to give you a little kind of what our flow will be today, we'll talk about my story real quick. We'll go through like what is mental wealth, what is mental health, and looking at kind of the three contexts of the pandemic, and I'll get to what that means. And I wanted this to be actionable, so three kind of quick exercises that you can do. And then I'll break down kind of the last piece, three kind of segments of groups. So individuals and families, entrepreneurs and creatives, side hustlers, and then businesses. And for each group, I'll give you a couple of things that you can do, very tactical, to make change week, month, year, as we move through and out of this pandemic. So with that, we're going to jump in. As Melinda said, my name is Anthony Ware, originally from Indianapolis, raised most of my life by my dad, myself, and my two younger brothers. My first job ever was cleaning toilets for my dad's janitorial company. Did the corporate ladder thing, and in 2008, I said that was enough. Started my first company. I've had four or five since, depending on how you count them. And my journey on mental wealth started really in 2010, when my tech company failed. I was living in a car it was a week, but that was more than enough. But I had some good things happen out of that. So really for the last 10 years, I've been on this iterative journey for life and business around culture, mental health, mental wealth. And you can read all the things that you'd read in an article and the best of lists and all this. But the real nugget of it is, with all the highlights, the lowlights for me have been, my grandfather died on my 10th birthday. So my dad's dead, my papa died. It was about 8 o'clock at night. I remember that. My youngest brother, Damon, he died by suicide in 2003. And it still seems like yesterday. And then more recently for me, in 2019, I passed out in the airport in Los Angeles, and in the emergency room found out that I had blood clots in my lungs and in my legs. So I share all of that, not to be flippant, not to be like, hey, look at me, but really to understand, like, everybody has something that's happened. Everybody has crap in their life. And if you live long enough, I'm 45, if you live long enough, there's a lot of things that are going to happen, good and bad. So to catch up real quick, 2020, at the end of last year, I had some struggles with my business, moved to Portland. I became a nanny for my friend. Then the pandemic hit. And then the next thing I did, the business started to pick up a little. Actually, business is better this year than last year. But in the summer, I ended up house sitting for a friend for several months. And then middle of the summer, when everything with George Floyd and all the things started to happen, I was fortunate enough to be able to start working with actually kind of Black ERGs, with phenomenal companies. And shout out to Aubrey at Culture Amp and Melinda for connecting. But to be able to use my talent and my gifts to help in a different way. Typically, I work with founders on their mental wealth, and then do research around that and publish studies and whatnot. I say all that to give context, and to help you understand. Yes, being a man is fun. And so, what is mental wealth? Mental wealth, think it in the same vein as we do financial wealth. We do all these things to make deposits into our financial wealth so that it can grow and compound interest and all those things. In the same way, we do things for our mental health, these mental wealth deposits. And with these mental wealth deposits, they come in various forms: quality time with friends, Netflix, studying new things to become, move from knowledge to wisdom, and all these good things that we do, so that when something like a pandemic hits, or when you have a death in the family, or stressed about finances, all these things that make a negative impact on our mental health come up, your mental wealth is there as the buffer. And so that's the context of that. And when I say mental health, I look at mental health like everybody has mental health from the day you're born to the day you die. We have mental health. And then things like mental illnesses and things are the things that impact it. And so looking at this from the view of a pandemic, it took me lots of chocolate bars from Trader Joe's, some Netflix, some pizza, all this in the spring, some me time, some grace, to come to the conclusion, like, we're living in three different contexts. At the beginning, last year we were pre-COVID. Now we're in a pandemic. We're still in it, just FYI. We're getting hope. The hope is we're going to leave a pandemic, right? So thinking in terms of the pre-pandemic, life was, as we thought, quote unquote, normal. But really, in hindsight, it was really a boiling pot that was about to boil over. The pandemic made it happen. If you look at the wave that hit, the wave of the pandemic started, say, in Korea, China, that part of the globe, or the world, if you will. And it was just like a big tidal wave that finally, when it hit in the United States, because the individualistic and all the other things that have been in the shadows for the United States, it hit and it caused major destruction from a social level, economic level, individual level, to the extent, like you look at some of the data out there where it's, so in the United States, like Kaiser did a study where they said 56% of the people that they interviewed in April said they had an increase in negative impact on their mental health. Over in the UK, they've seen like a 43% increase in emergency visits the medical health doctors have. So things are happening. And then quite frankly, one of the things I've seen, especially living as a Black man in the United States, there are so many parallels to what happened in the 60s to what's happening right now when it comes to race, politics, and all the upheaval that's happening. And so all of this is happening while we're trying to raise families, run a business, get a new job, get that second job. And all these things are happening in the pandemic. And then so when you look at like post-pandemic, what's getting ready to happen is we don't know. I don't know. I'm going to share some things that may be helpful, but to me, for anyone that says, I know what's going to happen, this is what you need to do. They're full of it, I guess, for lack of a better word, because we're all just guessing. But some of the things we do know is that there will be, the trend is looking that there will be a tsunami of kind of this negative impact on mental health across the world. Because like one of the things that kind of the data points I looked at is like post-SARS, people who had recovered from SARS, Hong Kong, there's a study in Hong Kong where there's like 40% of the people experienced some increase in PTSD. And that was SARS, and that was a small segment. Think about the millions of things that's happening right now. So all of this is the backdrop of everything we do, the pre-COVID pandemic and then post-pandemic. And it's kind of wild, but that actually helps keep me grounded when I see all the turmoil that's happening in the world. So thinking in terms of like practices you can do, and I'm going to go through this because of the timing, it may be rather quick, but please email me, DM me if you don't want to ask a question, or actually if you want to ask a question, make sure along the way asking a question in the question box, and then upvoting questions. But due to the nature of this topic, if you don't want to make your question public, feel free to reach out to me. Whatever we talk about or my response, totally confidential. And so some of these practices, like the three practices that are my go-to for myself, They've worked for my one-on-one clients. They've worked for working with the ERGs. And so I'll say them and then we'll go through them. So one is mind your matters. Two is be the ecologist. And then three is nurture your nature. So with mind your matters, it's an exercise that you want to have fun with it. Get creative. Get a couple sheets of paper. Use Post-it notes. Whatever brings you joy to create. And what you want to do is take a look at the timeline of your life and cut it into thirds. So for me, it's 0 to 15, 15 to 30, 30 to 45. And with that, above the timeline, you put all the great things that have happened. Below the timeline, you put the challenges in your life. So the great things that happened for me, I got to study in Sweden when I was in college. Negative things, I've said some of the challenges that have happened in my life. And so as you take the hour or two to look along your life, just look, don't judge yourself. Just look and then give it a couple days rest and then come back to it and then look at the themes that have come up. For example, a theme for me is interacting with people and community and it's not an extrovert introvert thing. I think as the older sibling, I just have this kind of look out for people thing. And the reason how I found that out is like in 8th grade, I went to like a leadership thing and I hung out in an elevator for 4 hours saying hi to everybody that came in and registered because my dad got me there way early for registration. And similar thing happened in college. And like now I put myself in positions to be in community because I know it's not only brings me joy, it's kind of like my zone of inner genius. And it fills my cup. So take the time to do that. I had a client once, she put like her closet doors, she used Post-its. So get creative, have fun with it. And what we're doing is creating a new lens for you, right? So as I'm wearing these glasses, like I just got new lenses. I can see better. Same thing. We're creating a new lens. So first looking at your life, seeing the themes. The second piece, when I say be the ecologist, I'm not talking about David Attenborough, Planet Earth, all those lonely planet, whatever those things are that talk about all the other ecosystems in the world. But looking at our lives, each of our lives are this intricate woven systems, right? So looking at it, we have ecosystems for which we are the common denominator. Whether it's groups of friends, your community, your peers, your coworkers, your family, the books that you read or the podcasts you consume, the events that you attend, all of these things like come together to be the larger ecosystem. But the goal is to take those and break those down. And so you look at this in a way that is manageable because there's so much going on in our lives. Often we forget, like, we can give ourselves permission to take a step back and look at the opportunity of where can we make adjustments. So when you have your ecosystem laid out, and so it's like nodes, you can look at like a brain, the old mind mapping kind of model. And to look at your ecosystem, what you want to do is look at it from the lens of the themes that lit you up. Like, does your ecosystem reflect those themes? So when I look at how I'm interacting with my community, am I doing things to light me up? Because if my cup is full, if your cup is full, then you can give so much more to everyone else. And I know in a pandemic, it's hard. It's not going to happen every day, but it's kind of the thing we try to move toward. So looking at that, so mind your matters is the lifeline. Matters like brain matter, mind your matters. Be the ecologist. And so the third piece is nurture the nature of your life, business, and career. First and foremost, you have a life, we have a life. Everything falls under the umbrella that is our life. from family to pets to plants. I have plants now that I have to take care of. I get to take care of. To the direction of your career. If you want to start a side hustle, going to the bathroom, all of those things. And so we have the opportunity to, again, nurture versus nature, the nature of something versus nurturing. Nurturing is we're feeding something, we're giving it fuel, we're taking care of it. Like these plants I have now, they're real plants. But through the example with the plants for me is I realize like I like nature. I want to interact with tons of people from around the world. So I may, once this pandemic is gone, I will be traveling. So I made sure to get plants that I don't have to water every day or every week. It's like every 3 to 4 weeks. And so another exercise from the nurture to nurture the nature of your life, it's a really good exercise that I picked up from Natalie Molina Nino's book, Leapfrog. And the exercise is looking at your ideal life and not your perfect life, your ideal life. If everything came to be as you want it to be, how do you wake up? Where do you wake up? Who do you wake up with? What do you do at the beginning of your day? What do you eat for lunch? Where do you eat for lunch? And those kind of things. And this is, you take the time to write this or to script this out and make it so that you feel that it's real. And then understanding if this is ideal and this is where you are today, then the only thing that's missing is the experience between. And you take the experience between through your new lens on how you want to look at your world. Yes, Leapfrog hacks. Thanks for sharing that in the chat. So those are the 3 practices: mind your matters, be the ecologist of your life, nurture the nature of your business and career and life. So I wanted to close up with the 3 practical mental wealth deposits that each of those groups can do. So for individuals and families, an easy one or a low-hanging one is to make a playlist that brings you joy, that you want to study to, sleep to, rock out with, whatever floats your boat, or reading list. Therapy is key, and it's starting to be even more accessible. The challenge, if you are looking to find a Black person of color, LGBTQIA therapist, there's starting to be apps to help better filter through. There's so much data, but realizing that it just may take time, and this is a relationship you're building. So don't be too stressed on yourself. A gratitude practice. Beginning of the day, 3 things you're grateful for. End of the day, 3 things you're grateful for. Write it in a journal, do a video journal, do a voice, whatever way that you can get it from outside, from inside your brain, outside in the world on something. And you can refer back to. For entrepreneurs, creatives, side hustlers, / the one that I love the most is peers, surrounding yourself with peers. One of the things I did this year was connect with YSYS, your startup, your YSYS. It's I can't remember the analogy, but it's from the UK, Community of Startup Founders. And find your group to connect with, and even make it smaller, have a smaller group to connect with. And the other thing is autoresponders. If you send me an email, you'll get my autoresponder. And the autoresponder can be your friend. I've had mine on for 2 years. You teach people how to interact with you. And it can be done in business. It can be done on personal, but don't let the inbox control you. Thank you, Melinda. Your startup, your story. Deborah, the founder, is phenomenal. And the last group are businesses. So this is kind of where the real talk comes in. A couple things. One, no more PR hype. Post your data, give resources, or allocate resources, time, money, talent to DEI, the people heading up DEI, the people who are supporting it, the employees that are a part of it that may not be in their job description. Adjust how you do business. There is no going back to normal for anything. And quite frankly, I don't want to go back to normal, because normal was a bunch of there was racism, there was sexism, there was patriarchy, all these things got us to where we are. So why would we want to do all of the things that got us where we are? We have the opportunity to create a new normal in business, and how we help our employees and our teams. And I think the last part with that is for businesses, make the mental health and wealth of your team a strategic priority. And when I say priority, meaning allocate money, time, resources, because the mental health and our mental wealth and what we have going on inside as a human showing up to a place of business impacts every single thing that happens in the business, every decision, every customer interaction, every new idea. It all stems from who we are and our state of our mental health. So with that, there's one question. Let me just make sure how can I get the directions here? Yes, please email me. Just email me and give me the context of the audience, and I can kind of craft it to the audience. Thanks, Charlotte.